When I showed up for my first day of work, I could have never imagined myself standing here in front of all of you hosting a virtual event. But there is power in someone saying, I believe in you and you can do this, which brings us to why we're all here today. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Michaela, and for the first time, I'm stepping out from behind the scenes to act as your co-host today. For all of you joining us virtually, get inside the chat and come say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I want to see that you are here and you are ready to get started. And I'm not sure if you heard what I said. I said, welcome to our bootcamp. Are you out there? Let's get that energy going. Okay, my friends, whether this is your first CFT event or you're a member of CashFlow Tribe or the Council, we have got a jam-packed day ready for you. We have your comments going up throughout the day, so ask those questions, stay engaged, and get ready. So what do you say? Are you ready to get 2021 to the curb and embrace the new year ahead and really make an impact? The answer is yes, and there is no one better to help you personally make 2022 your year than the amazing visionary that will be joining us today. And when I say amazing, I mean it. For almost 20 years, he has been leading and developing game-changing cultures, award-winning teams. And as a speaker, virtual coach, and featured contributor, he has helped so many companies and individuals rethink and evolve their leadership and business approaches. On top of being the CEO of CashFlow Tribe, he also hosts a weekly podcast where he shares strategies to help people achieve more. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming our host and CEO, Chris Hanna.
I am so excited to be here today to spend the afternoon sharing with you, learning and really growing together. Now, before I dive in, I first want to say thank you. You decided to commit your most precious time and energy, those resources that you have, to be with us here today on this Saturday. There's something about this bootcamp that said, I'm ready for a bigger impact. I want to make a difference in 2022. If you feel that way, put your hand up in the air and say yes, and applaud yourself and nod your head. This is something to celebrate. Our mission here at CashFlow Tribe is to help people achieve financial freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. This event is different than anything we've ever done before. Traditionally, all of our events have focused on real estate education. This one is about personal development. It's about you. Let me tell you why. These past couple of years have been hard for many people. It's been a challenge between lockdowns and job losses, feeling trapped, potentially getting sick, and everything in between. Never has a fresh start been needed more now in 2022. The feedback that we have received from our community, from our business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs, is that they wanted more help to maximize their impact in 2022. Every person here who's watching virtually can make a more significant impact next year and make it their best year yet. You have experience and knowledge and a story that can provide tremendous value to other people. Some of you want more because you're not fulfilled. 70% of people in the world are actually considering resigning from what looks like their typical job. If you're one of them, put yes inside the chat box. That's why you're here today. You know you're here for possibility. You're here to understand that you're made for so much more. But you need to be obsessed with creating a compelling future for yourself. This afternoon, I promise, I'm going to give you everything without any of the fluff. I ask that you come with an open mind. Promise me that you're going to go all in and you're going to play hard. Don't miss one single minute. Give all that you have, because in the end, you're going to have to give everything you need to find that clarity to make next year your best year yet. But this is a boot camp, so strap up, shoulders back, head up. Let's get into this. Now, we've got a lot to do today. I'm going to share a lot. More importantly than that, you might think that means you're going to need to do a lot. Well, false. Yes, we want you to take action. But if you gain the clarity you need from this event, you will do less stuff that distracts you, robbing you of your future potential. Now, we've got workbooks that have been sent to you that we're going to be using throughout the course of the afternoon. We're going to have some homework, and those that do the homework ultimately are the ones who are going to get the most value from this event. The homework's going to help keep you accountable as well. What we're going to focus on today is going to help you for the next year and every year after that. The key is that you take action. Listen. The next year, the next 5 years, 10 years are going to fly by so fast. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be failure. It's going to sometimes feel like you're working towards something, you're not sure what's going to happen, but you got to get to that next level version of yourself where you want to have the opportunity to create a bigger impact, to serve others, to help them go faster, to succeed. If you're up for that, say, I'm in. I'm all in. I say all in, it's inscribed in my wedding ring because I believe you can't do something with one foot in the door, one foot out. You have to go all in. I'm here with you today to go all in. But I also want to be transparent. Why am I spending my Saturday afternoon doing this? Well, one reason is that our community and our world needs to create a more positive impact, now more than ever. These have been uncertain times. Secondly, I joined CashFlow Tribe at the beginning of 2021, and it's been the most remarkable year of my life, and I want to give back. I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to be here with you, to work alongside an incredible team who's really helped me be the best version of myself I've ever been. It's an environment where I can feel authentic, and the personal fulfillment I'm having every day is so amazing. Third, I'm going to teach the hell out of you this afternoon. So please take notes, ask questions in the chat, get ready to act. There's nothing that I'm holding back. This isn't one of those things where we tease you and just kind of hold some of the information back. We're giving you everything. But you got to be able to put the work in. I'm here doing the work on this Saturday. Are you ready to do the work? I also want to be transparent. We're really proud of this community and what we've been able to achieve, especially the results from our members and council. We would love those who are interested in being around like-minded people to also join us. If you're not part of CFT, the truth is we want to earn your business. We'd love for you to say, CashFlow Tribe is where I can get the support I need to achieve the freedom, the flexibility, and fulfillment. We'd love you to be part of CashFlow Tribe. We're excited and we're really bullish on the future about what we're going to do in 2022 and beyond. If you don't join us, though, for whatever reason, you're still going to get a ton of value this afternoon because that's ultimately my commitment. Now, switching gears a little bit, before we dive deep, we need to set the foundation for today to really prime yourself. Because there's three things that everyone really wants, whether they know it or not. One is financial freedom. Two, it's flexibility. And three, it's fulfillment. Now, they're linked together, and they're often the things that most people want, but they also find it really hard to find those. So to stay ahead of the competition, to stay relevant, it's more important now than ever that we continually reinvent ourselves. We can only do this by being deliberate, by being intentional with our actions. Who do we want to become? When we know the answer to that question, it's time to start taking steps to reinvent ourselves. Ultimately, I've always said, you get what you continue to allow. If you're unhappy, if you're disappointed, and in some aspect of your life, you have the power to take steps to change that. So be grateful for what happened in the past, good or bad. Appreciate it. Learn from it. Be better from it. With these past couple of years, they've either been a challenge or an opportunity. Put in the chat box. Has this year been a challenge or an opportunity for you? Whatever it's been, whatever's happened, you can't do anything about it. It's the past. All you can do is choose to move forward. But ultimately, as I said, the whole purpose of this event is about impact. If you want to achieve the impact, you need to create momentum. So in a few moments, I'm really going to give you the opportunity to learn how to create momentum, how to attain that. It starts first with a learning mindset. A learning mindset's always going to serve you best with whatever you're going to do. Don't stop learning, growing, and evolving. Because success is really truly a state of mind. How you think of yourself, whether you have the right mindset, makes a world of difference for you. Be present. Sometimes we're guilty of hanging on to the baggage of the past or worrying about the anxiety of the future way too often. The future's going to come, the past has already happened. Be present in the moment, appreciate what you have now, but remember, it's not about being the best, it's about being better today than you were yesterday. It's progress over perfection. If you're going to win, you have to be confident. I believe the key to success is operating in your zone of strength and going all in again on what you do best. Now, we purposely had this event today at the end of the year because when the year comes to an end, it's always that time to reflect on the progress that's been made. We want to make sure that we're going to help you achieve what you want and develop the roadmap for the year ahead, setting yourself up for success. But reaching the end of the year brings a time to reflect on really what happened this past year. How is this year stacked up for you? Are you capturing your wins? If you don't have a success tracker, you need one. My team's going to put a success tracker up on the screen here so you actually see what that's all about. It's also referenced in the workbook. Success trackers, they really help detail wins, both big and small. Throughout the year, you want to capture any positive feedback or key contributions or wins. Doing so is going to help you see momentum. Maybe you have team members that work with you. Encourage them to keep track of their accomplishments. This works both personally and professionally. Whenever you have a day that maybe doesn't go well as expected, you can also refer back to that success tracker and reflect on the wins that you've had. Whenever you focus on the wins, it just creates more opportunity to create even more. The other thing you need to do next year is theme your year. What's your theme for the year ahead? If you're going to look back at the end of the year, how would you like to describe what you accomplished? In a few words, can you summarize the theme that you're looking for? Think of a theme as a way of grouping all your initiatives together before building that roadmap. I'm going to give you a couple examples of ones I've used throughout my career. Break down the walls, smarter, not harder, become a game changer, proactive instead of reactive, people make the difference, and we versus I or me. In your workbook, I've also added some different prompts to make sure that you can come up with the right theme for 2022. If you know the theme already, put it in the chat box, share it on social media using the hashtag #MakeTwenty22YourYearCFT. Now, as we dive deeper, again, I want to thank you for joining us because everybody talks a big game. Everybody talks about how they want to make an impact. They want to build a business. How many people really, truly do? I'm not sure why you got started with us here today, why you made this investment in terms of your time and resources and energy to be here. But ultimately, I assume it's because you want to make an impact. You want to build the life that you want for yourself in 2022. Whatever your reason, we're going to give you the very best tools, but I'm also a straight shooter. I'm direct with no bullshit. I'm direct, and that's the only way I know how to talk, because I'm direct and there's a hard truth that everyone needs to know, is that not everyone's going to succeed. If you're going to be the exception to the rule, you got to understand what stops people from succeeding. Results and impact really only come from an obsession with getting yourself to take action. You and I both know so many people talk a big game, they get excited, but they don't take action. You took action joining us here today. Now, since this is a free event, we know traditionally 20 to 30% of people will only show up. Now, we appreciate you who did show up for spending your time with us. In my life, it was until I said no more that I decided to take action, where I finally felt the sense of fulfillment I was looking for. Again, most businesses are not going to succeed. If you look at businesses today, in the first year, 50% of all businesses are gone. In 5 years, 80% no longer exist. In 10 years, 96% of businesses fail. That means 4% truly make it. There's going to be challenges. Do you have what it takes to stand out as a business, as an individual, maybe as a person? You're going to have to make a choice and commitment to take action. I've said quite often through a lot of the stuff I've done, whether it's my podcast or social media, 1 hour of action outweighs 10 hours of dreaming about it. Now, if I think back, though, throughout my career, well, there's one line that's really stood out, and it's from my favorite movie, Back to the Future, is that if you can put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. At this point, I have to give a personal shout out to my mom, who I know is actually watching this live too. She's echoed this throughout my entire life. Thank you, Mom, for always helping and support me and my brothers in chasing our dreams, believing in us and telling us that we can do anything. It's so important when you have that support. Ultimately, it comes down to that strong enough why that's going to help you do something. But you've got to know what your mission is. And in my life, I've realized it's not just about money. It's not enough. It's not enough to compel people to actually take action. Now, we're going to dive into discovering your why in a little bit. But along with your mission, you also need a bit of a tool to help you on this journey, and it's the tool of momentum. It's probably one of the most essential tools that's often forgotten. And it's the difference, really, between success and failure. It's the difference, certainly, between sustained success and those who just really want to start out and then they fail later on. If you want something in your life, you need to remember it's essential that you're going to have to make an impact in the year ahead, but you've got to create momentum. And I'm going to make it super simple for you at this point of how you can actually create momentum. There's a formula for doing this. I've actually never shared this outside of personal one-on-ones and coaching sessions that I've done throughout my career. It's this idea of how you can create momentum and create an impact. I want you to write this down. The reason I say I want you to write this down is that when you physically write things down, the thing is that sometimes if you just do it by hand or type it out, it doesn't matter, it's going to make a world of difference. You're actually going to retain this information better. If you listen passively, just watching me, studies say 30 days from now, you're going to remember 10% of what I said. But if you listen and you take notes, you're going to usually retain about 50% of what you've learned, at least a month later. And if you listen, you take notes, you're active, you're actually engaged in what we do, you will retain 80 to 90% a month later. You'll be better able to execute the next thing that you want to focus on whatever you're wanting. But I said, if you want to create momentum, you got to create an impact, and ultimately there's some things you need to do. So the way this model works is that it starts with potential. If you fully leverage your potential, that leads to higher levels of action, which leads to higher results, building more confidence in yourself, and leading to more significant impact. It creates a cycle that becomes pretty powerful and leads to some fantastic results. With people I coach, lead, or mentor, I'm constantly pushing them outside of their comfort zone to maximize their potential. The more they try and experiment, the more they grow, the more they achieve. The impact becomes absolutely amazing to watch and to see. Question I have for you is, are you fully leveraging your potential? Are you investing in your growth to be the best version of yourself you can be? If not, you got to do something about it. So let's dive into discovering your why. Because when it comes to making 2022 your year, you need to think about what you're going to do and why, and that's step one for anything. It's not about goals. That's wrong. That's the wrong way to do it. You don't set your goals first. You actually have to discover your why first. Because it doesn't matter if you are in real estate, you're building a business, you're tackling something personally. You need to discover your why before jumping in and getting to work. Depending on your why, depending on your end goal, the level of work, the strategies needed are going to differ. But if you jump in without knowing your why, that leads to a ton of wasted time and effort. Remember, we only have so much time available. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can never get it back. But many people are looking to improve their impact, and they struggle with taking action. It's often due to a lack of clarity with their purpose. You might struggle to put in the consistent work necessary to hit your goals. So you got to understand your why and develop goals to help achieve that. When you do so, it becomes easier to build a roadmap that you can ultimately believe in. So let's start with defining what your why truly is. Your why is essentially your purpose, the primary cause that you believe in. What do you do? How do you do it? Ultimately, why is it essential for you? What's the reason that you exist? Why do you get up in the morning? Why should anyone care? Every company knows what they do and how they do it, but often they struggle with sharing why. CashFlow Tribe exists to help people achieve freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. And that is something that we know is possible for everyone, whether it's through training, community, powerful resources. We aim to help those people develop the right mindset and confidence to succeed, investing in themselves so they can ultimately have the results and impact that they know are possible. Our why is connected to our desire to have an impact to help more Canadians do the same. Now, one way that I have helped people discover their why is to ask them a series of questions. I've included some of these in the workbook. And it's good to be introspective. Ask yourself these questions, really gain that clarity for your purpose. For these, you do need to get specific. So I call these my power questions. The first question here is about success. Really, what is your definition of success? This is the key to knowing what makes you happy. Another question is, if you could do anything at all, what would it be? Or how about, what do you do that really excites you? What's your dream career? Are you in it? Or are you on a pit stop along the way? What do I really want? Am I happy where I am today? What motivates me? How can I improve? What would I regret not doing? Very powerful question, and we're going to come back to it at different points here. If you can find out what your mission is, get a big enough why, you can create momentum. And again, you'll start to see these results power through that you're looking for. But you got to get clear about what you want. And you got to be precise. You got to take action. And be continually evolving and changing, though. It's going to feel amazing for you and what you're able to do. Sometimes you got to ask yourself, are you in the right role? This is a question that a lot of people need to ask themselves, and I think they're continually asking themselves right now in this world we're living in. So there's 4 factors I just want to share here about whether you're in the right role, working for the right company, maybe even the right leader. First is engaged. How engaged are you with what the business does? Then there's joy. Do you get any pleasure from what you do on a daily basis? You also have to think about your skills. Do you get to use your skills and strengths regularly? And lastly, it's about other factors, whether there's future growth for yourself. Are you learning? Are you growing? Obviously, pay is pretty essential as well. Another tool I want to spend a couple of minutes on here is called the Wheel of Life. I've used this to help people prime themselves to create momentum and get introspective. So we're going to show this, and it's going to be on the screen, but it's also going to be in the workbook. In your workbooks, you're going to see this wheel. Each section of the wheel represents several different aspects of your life. If you look at the center of the wheel as a 1 and the outer edges as a 10, like you take a few moments and rank your level of satisfaction with each area. Maybe connecting all the dots as well. If this were an actual wheel, how bumpy would the ride be? Now, another approach to discovering your why is to dive deeper into a tool from Dean Graziosi. Dean has a 7 levels deep exercise that many people find helpful to help them understand the underlying purpose and motivation and ultimately their why. It's a very simple exercise, but it's imperative that you focus when you try to undertake this. This short exercise has the power to shift your mindset, so we're going to understand how to do it. So start with thinking, what do you want to accomplish or achieve? Then ask yourself 7 times, why is it important that I do this? The concept of the 7 levels deep exercise is to really help you build more momentum after each question. You get deeper and deeper to understand what the real meaning and purpose is of your intention. It'll help you understand your why. So ask yourself the following question. Why is it important to do, insert the blank, whatever it is that you want to do? With whatever that answer is, continue to ask that same question 7 more times. At each question, record your response, and in the workbook, you'll see this as an opportunity to go through this exercise. By the 7th answer, you're going to truly understand and know your why. So I'm going to give you a bit of an example here that kind of starts showing some of the powers of the 7 level deep exercise. We'll use the concept of somebody maybe want to start their business, something on the side. So ask this question, why is building a side hustle or business important to you? The answer, well, I want to make money. So the follow-up question, why is it essential to make money? Well, because I want to quit my job. See where we're going here? Why is it important to quit your job? Well, I get no fulfillment from my job and I want passive income. Well, why is it important for you to quit your job and make passive income? The answer is because I really want to spend more time with my wife doing the things that I enjoy. Well, why is it more important to spend time with your family? Well, I really think about it. Growing up, my family was always working and maybe not able to enjoy life as much and take those trips, and I feel like I missed out. And any future children I have, I don't want to have those same regrets. Time out. We're getting pretty deep here. We're getting into more of a stronger emotional connection of why someone wants to start a business. They're not doing it just for money. As I said, you're going to struggle if you're going to try to do it just for money. This person wants to start a side hustle because ultimately they want to build that passive income, but they want to do it for the right reason. They want to do it ultimately for their family. They're missing out on something from when they were younger. It's really powerful stuff indeed. So we're going to take a couple of minutes. We're going to work through this activity together, and we're going to give you that opportunity to kind of work through and discover your why using the 7 levels deep exercise. You'll see the prompts in your workbook to help you go through this, in addition to the opportunity to go through the Wheel of Life exercise. So we're going to take about 15 minutes right now, and we're going to go through this. When you come back, I'd love for you to start to share what you kind of gained from yourself. Put that into the chat. We'd love to be able to kind of really support you and continue to help as you look to make that bigger impact for yourself. All right, welcome back. The team and me, we're actually seeing all the insights shared in the chat box and through some of the DMs, so keep those going. We want to continue to hear from you. Again, when you're armed with your why, that primary motivation, now is the time to really start talking about goal setting. Now, first off, it's vital to note that goal setting is crucial for your success. Whether it's in real estate investing, building a personal brand, creating a business, really doing anything, you need to have goals. Ask those who are in council. We've got many of them who are on this call today. They will tell you how important it is to have goals. When you have a goal, it gives you something to work towards. It keeps you moving. And if you're not moving, ultimately you're becoming stagnant. If you put it another way, if you're not growing, you're dying. Now, unfortunately, Far too many people feel like they are going through the motions. They're maybe sleepwalking their way through their day. They're incapable of making an impact, held back by others with no support. What's often missing for them is having that clear why that we talked about earlier and a goal that they ultimately want to achieve. Now first, let's talk about the importance of having clear goals. So before you reach your destination, ultimately you need to know where you're going. Without a goal, it's challenging to hold ourselves and each other sometimes accountable. And sometimes it's hard to see ultimately if we're off course. Setting a goal is going to allow you to prioritize things and ultimately gain focus. In addition, having a goal will enable you to create clear markers to really gauge decisions of whether this is the right decision for you or not to make. Every decision that we make, from the mundane to the monumental, plays a role. In late 2018, I was very frustrated with my career. I was disengaged, I was checked out, and honestly, I was pretty miserable to be around. It was taking a toll on me both personally and professionally. I felt aimless. I was going through the same old motions day after day without feeling like I was really working towards something. I never used to be like this. I used to be someone who was really motivated and ambitious, and I knew what I wanted. But somehow, along the way, I really got off course. Admittedly, I knew I needed help. I'm not afraid to admit this, but I had to reach out and I had to get myself a mentor. In conversations with this mentor, I realized that I didn't have any goals set for myself anymore. I've kind of lost track of who I was and what I was really truly all about. I didn't have anything that was motivating me, pushing me to succeed. The type of person that I am, the type of personality profile that I have, I'm someone that if I don't have something I'm working towards, I'm ultimately going to check out. So I sat down in November of 2018 and I wrote out a series of goals, all the things that I wanted to achieve in the next 3 years by the end of 2021. I had put off what I had wanted to do for so long, but I decided in that moment, no more. I said, I'm going to work towards achieving the goals that I can be proud of and ultimately that bring me that fulfillment that I felt like I was lacking. And lacking maybe some of that happiness that I wanted, which is ultimately my definition of success. So I wrote down all my goals and I put them on colored sticky notes. I placed them all over my wall so I could see them every single day. My goal was to remove each of those and literally crush them up and complete them. It was such a powerful experience for me to go through this because every day I was seeing those goals and it motivated me to want to do more, to move forward. Well, before I knew it, momentum kicked in and I started crushing a few of them. And the more I started crushing, the more I started to want to do more. So I started taking goals down off the wall and putting them back up. I'm really happy to share that my last goal, which I thought was unattainable, happened this past year, and that was becoming CEO. I had written down that within 3 years I wanted to become CEO of a company. I never thought it was possible, but it actually happened. Someone on my team literally said this a couple weeks ago, that I manifested these goals into reality. It was so powerful. And it only happened because I had this relentless focus on them. Seeing those goals every single day propelled me to take action. It was kind of like the power of attraction. I put it out to the universe, and what I got back was exactly what I was looking for. I encourage everyone to think about their goals and to write them down. But there are different types of goals, right? Those are simple sticky note goals that I put up, and they were so powerful for me. But ultimately, you got to figure out what works. So another more proven technique, what a lot of people are familiar with, is SMART goals. Now, SMART goals, they do have this acronym, and it stands for goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. It's a goal-setting method that a lot of people are familiar with, and they're familiar with it because everyone uses it. It's a great way to kind of keep yourself structured. Now, ultimately, you need to have goals that you can achieve, and that's going to, again, create that momentum, that feeling that you're just continuing to take over. It just keeps coming at you, and it motivates you to do more because that flywheel just keeps spinning. And watch out, because you're going to be unstoppable the more you start to tackle some of these. So when you reach that point where you're growing and you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, I constantly am trying to push my team and each other outside of our comfort zone, but it's amazing to look back and to see where we've been. And ultimately, you might not recognize who you are anymore the more you push yourself with some of these goals that we're going to get into. So as I said, there's the SMART goals that I want to talk about. And they're really important for people. In my experience, many leaders, whether they're business owners and they're investors, they struggle with defining some of those goals. So when we set goals that are SMART, as I said earlier, it does stand for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Specific ultimately means that we detail exactly what's expected, when, and by how much. Measurable, because the goals are specific, you can easily measure your progress towards completion. Now, achievable, these mean that the goals must be realistic and ultimately achievable. Because if you set goals that are not attainable, it's incredibly discouraging. There's nothing worse than having a goal that's something you can't actually go after. When it comes to something that's realistic and relevant, no one wants to chase a goal that has no impact on their career or in their business, and work for the sake of work is ultimately useless. And time-bound, all goals have a starting and end point, with fixed durations tying into a measurable part. All our goals need to be made with these factors in mind to really ultimately achieve your why. Again, that purpose of what you're trying to go after. Your goal needs to be clear and specific, not vague, not lacking any sort of direction. When it comes to being measurable, you need to track your progress to stay motivated. How do you know whether you're ultimately winning or losing when it comes to trying to achieve your goals? When you think about being achievable, is it really in your power to accomplish this goal? Is it realistic, given the resources, maybe the time that you have? Is the goal something that you can ultimately do? When you think about the time constraints that are put on some of ourselves as well, what's the date that you want to achieve a said goal? Like, it was important for me for that sticky note exercise that I mapped out, say, what I want to do in the next 3 years by the end of 2021. I knew if I had to work my way backwards, what I was going to focus on. It was critical for me. So there's some factors I think you need to consider when you start to decide on a SMART goal. I'm going to share some of them. You're going to see them in the book that we have that you're going through as the workbook there. But ultimately, these are going to help you with building out your goals as you start to think about them. So like, who is involved? Who might be there to help you along the way? What do I want to accomplish specifically? Maybe where is that goal located? Do I need to be somewhere geographically to make this work? Maybe why is that goal important? Which resources or limits are involved in making something more measurable? Maybe how much of something is required or how many? How will I know when it's accomplished? How do you know when you've actually won? How do you know if you've had a good day towards achieving your goals? How do I know that I've won? Really is the question that we're always asking ourselves. Is it within my control to accomplish this goal? Do I have the resources and the capabilities I need to achieve this goal? Or do I need to go get that skill, get that experience to help me along the way? Maybe other people have done what I'm looking to do, and I need their counsel, their mentorship. Do I believe that this goal is actually possible or not? Good question to ask yourself is, do you believe in your why enough that you're actually going to put in the work to achieve this goal? Maybe you have certain timelines, deadlines, or due dates associated with it. So you need to see, is that actually realistic or not? I list all these out not to deter you from making goals, but to highlight that you can't just make goals that are vague. They're all very important when you're setting out your SMART goals, and they link to your why that we discovered earlier. But the truth is this: goals will sometimes change. The only constant in this world is actually change. The same applies to our goals. Life happens. We all know this past couple of years. The world was impacted by significant change. But change is inevitable. From a personal standpoint, or even as a business, this might be controversial to say, but if you don't like and embrace change, I'm sure you will like irrelevance even less. When you think about your goals, you may need to go through a refinement or an evolution process in regards to the goals that you have. As you gain more experience and your life changes, your goals are going to change as a result. My goals have certainly changed throughout my life and throughout my career. You might start a goal maybe of wanting to quit your job and gain more flexibility. Maybe in time that goal changes to something more along the lines of creating more monthly income that's passive, whether it's real estate, stocks, crypto, a side hustle. Maybe you want to do this through creating a sustainable business for yourself, where you got complete control, like many are doing here in council. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that even though your goals might change and life might happen, you have options. Many people, they want to quit their job. Some do it purely for monetary reasons. Others, because again, they lack those three key words I've said earlier: the freedom, the flexibility, and fulfillment that they desire. Most people want to quit their jobs or have a goal to spend more time with their families, because time is the great equalizer. It's the same thing for everybody. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. And they're ultimately looking to how to use that time to get that sense of fulfillment. At least that's the experiences that I think I've heard when I've talked to members of CashFlow Tribe, the community. Maybe it's people who have recently gone through our Accelerator Program or part of the mentorship program that we offer with council, is that people are looking for that sense of fulfillment and how the work that they can do in building their own business or doing something that they love can help with that. Now, regardless of the goal, you can achieve exactly what you want as long as you commit to taking action and putting in the work. Now, sometimes when it comes to putting in the work, though, it means you got to put a bit of a roadmap together. What do you want to accomplish in 2022? What's the goal for the year? And to break it down even further, what are your personal, professional, and financial goals? Have you thought about those categories before? How about this? What are those big, hairy, audacious goals? A BHAG is what they're called. These are goals that are so big that people might think you're crazy for trying to tackle them. I've had so many people tell me over the years as I shared some of my goals that that's a crazy goal, you should never go after it. But that actually propels me to take more of a risk and to take massive action. But there are some reasons that you want to set BHAG goals. Again, those big, hairy, audacious goals that people might think you're crazy for trying to tackle. One is that they start to help you provide direction. Ultimately, it gives you a lamppost of where you want to go. Almost a lighthouse, I guess you should almost say. Goals also can tell you how far you've gone. They make your overall vision attainable. Again, if you work backwards and say, this is the big goal and I want to break it down into smaller milestones. It gives you maybe some clarity around your role, your responsibility. That's something to drive towards. So if you want to set a BHAG goal for yourself, ask yourself some of these questions. Where do you want to be 1 year from now? Fast forward a year, where are you? Are you in the same spot personally, professionally, financially? If not, what does that look like? How do you work backwards to make that happen? Is there significant change you need to make now to set yourself up? If you are not seeing yourself in the same place that you are now, then obviously you have an opportunity to do something about it. You got to take action. You got to move forward in the direction that you ultimately want. And setting goals are essential. If you have a goal list that's super long, it means that everything is seen as a priority, which means nothing is really a priority. So you have to be really clear on what are those things you want to tackle. Now, one thing I have found throughout my career is if you want to prioritize whether something should be tackled or not, you got to determine whether it's considered urgent and important. I'm going to take you through a model here to help you understand whether that idea, goal, initiative, whatever you want to say, is urgent or important or not. Because if it is important, great. Do whatever you can to make sure that it's actioned. But if it doesn't meet that criteria of urgent and important, put it lower on the priority list. So take your goals, your milestones, your projects, the things that you want to achieve throughout 2022, and place them visually in the following categories. You're really using a swim lane view, and the team's going to put this up on the screen so you can actually see it, but basically have a swim lane of personal, financial, and professional goals. Throughout the whole year, what are the things you need to do in those three core categories? Break it down. You could break it down through quarters, so again, a 3-month cycle. Some people are going to want to do it maybe in a monthly view, but ultimately determine what are the actions you need to take in those three categories. Depending on the initiatives that you plan to tackle, there might be a case where maybe a monthly view is better than just on a quarterly. But we put an example in the workbook to kind of help you with this. This is a way to start to build your roadmap for 2022. It's ultimately going to form the basis of what you want to tackle in the year ahead. Again, if you're looking a year out from now, where do you want to be? How do you take the steps to work backwards to get back on track to ultimately make sure that you achieve that? Whatever you want as a goal, list it, but think of each of the stuff that you're going to do during the months as mini SMART goals in a way. What are the things you need to do throughout the year, personally, professionally, and financially, to ultimately achieve that big, hairy, audacious goal? Now, some people, they get overwhelmed thinking that they need to do everything, or they don't know where to start with their goals. So if you're starting to even just on a daily basis, there's one question I think that you can ask yourself every day that's going to make a world of difference for you. What's the one thing I can do today that will justify my whole week's work? When you know that answer, do nothing else until you complete that task, because that one task is probably the thing that actually moves the needle for you. Also, put what you want to do out there into the universe. It's that power of attraction. What you're going to ask for from the world, it's going to give you back. If you expect the best, you're often going to get the best back. Whatever you want in life, whatever you want to achieve, you need to make it a reality. So it's ultimately about coming up with a plan and finding a way to make that happen. So think about it. What do you want for 2022? What are your long-term goals? When you think about long-term, it might be hard to do right now, but think about, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or if you want to scale that back, where would you like to be this time next year? When you know what you want, work backwards, figure out the key tasks, the milestones that ultimately are needed. Then reflect on what you want to go after. Brainstorm what you ultimately need to do. When you've got that clarity, when you got that focus on those long-term goals, you got to break those things down to figure out what you need to do to make it happen. Each week, it's about coming up with the top priorities that's going to really, again, require your attention, but also makes you sure that you're taking action. Every week, try to work towards those long-term goals, even if it's a little bit. 1% is better than 0%. The mission is simple. It's just to get those tasks completed. And if it's not on your priority list, it's ultimately a distraction. Now, there are questions that you can ask yourself to, again, think differently about your approach when it comes to that daily planning, but that consistency is ultimately key of just taking action every single day. We only have so much time available. It is the most valuable resource we have. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can never get it back. Everyone wants more time. But if you set goals for yourself in 2022 and determine where you really want to be at the end of the year and work backwards to achieve it, you can have success. But you got to take the time now. And this is why we're doing this event here at the beginning of December, to really focus on what we're going to do for 2022. You got to build that roadmap and plan ahead. Got to be intentional. If you sleepwalk your way through life, it's going to be a lot harder to figure out what your ultimate plan is. So schedule, prioritize a couple of hours following this event to build those goals for 2022. Again, in the workbook, there are prompts to help you with this. But it's important, again, that you focus on that. So we're going to take now a 15-minute break. We're going to come back, maybe take a stretch, grab a drink, reflect on what you've done thus far. When we come back, we're going to dive deeper into productivity hacks to ultimately give you more time back to tackle the goals that you want in 2022. All right, welcome back. We've discussed the importance of creating momentum, discovering your why, and setting goals the right way. At this point, you might be thinking, Chris, this sounds like a lot of work, doesn't it? Well, actually, it isn't. Because if we dedicate time right now up front to do this before the new year gets here, we're super intentional and we waste less time, money, resources, probably doing things that don't provide value. But now, to help you, we're going to go through some productivity hacks that I have learned and kind of gained throughout my career to give you time back. Some of these you might already know, maybe you already use them. Some of them might be new for some of you as well. So many business owners, entrepreneurs, even employees think that they need to work longer and harder to achieve the results and the impact that they want. And I'm here to say, no more thinking that. We have to get that out of our head. We actually need to work less. It's about working smarter, not harder, achieving more by doing less. It's all about productivity and how we can work more effectively. So whether it's setting monthly, weekly, daily goals, you can achieve more by focusing on what matters. And we talked about this earlier, about priorities. I've always said that there's a difference between being busy and productive. It's all about priorities. Time is at a premium, and you can achieve more by doing less when you focus only on priorities, the tasks that provide the most value overall. When you've got clear direction on what you're trying to focus on, you can ignore the rest, and you eliminate those distractions, those interruptions, and achieve more of what matters. You need to know what you want to do ultimately to achieve. When you have a clear goal in mind, it's possible to maximize your success when you really prioritize what I call ruthlessly on those tasks that you're going to focus on. Do what matters, maybe push off, eliminate, get rid of all the stuff that basically doesn't lead to the results that you want. So you got to choose the right priorities. Now, when you think about priorities, you got to really assess them against what I call a prioritization matrix. And we'll share this on the screen, where you focus on your priorities and the efforts. And using a mix of strategic projects and quick wins, you'll determine what's going to give you the best results overall. If it doesn't give you the results you're looking for, get rid of it. You don't need it anymore. Only focus on stuff that's going to produce the value you're looking for. Stuff that's high effort, low value, that's a waste of time. There's things that are distractions that are low effort, low value. Those need to be eliminated as well. But ultimately, it comes down to how much do you value your time? How do you spend your time determines how successful you're going to become. We have to look at our relationship with time and the value that we do. There's something I like to say often is like, you can either spend your time or you can invest it. Time is the greatest and the best resource that we have available. As I said so many times, once it's gone, it's gone. The truth is, every single one of us wants more time back to do what we want. So whenever possible, we got to maximize our time. So we're not managing our day and our life really on autopilot. We got to rethink and evolve our approach to managing time. And we got to focus on the activities that align best with our goals to help us move forward. There's a quote here that I've read recently where it talks about how most people only achieve 2 hours and 53 minutes of productive time each and every day. Yikes. Like, that is really bad. There's an opportunity there to think about that differently. So if you're challenged with time and not being as productive as possible, there's things that you could probably do to help you, and there's common sense stuff that everyone knows about, right? Like creating a to-do list, maybe making schedules, organizing your calendar, delegating certain tasks to certain people, like a VA, or giving yourself the right work-life balance, or maybe using some different software tools, project management, things that are going to help. Well, there's so much more that you need to do to really give yourself more time to be more productive. Because that 2 hours and 53 minutes, that's a lot of time to get a lot of stuff done. All right, so I'm going to spend some time here going through some of these productivity hacks that I think are significantly going to save you time, free up your capacity when you use them. Because as I said, achieving more doesn't mean you got to do more. In fact, I want you to make sure you do less in the year ahead to have the biggest impact on your results possible. So a lot of what I'm going to say is going to be about stopping what you should do. All of these ideas are based on saving yourself time, maybe utilizing processes, technology differently. Like, we live in a world where we're really surrounded by technology, and I think many of us in our businesses are underutilizing some of what's available or what's around us. We need to use more appropriately. So you leverage this productivity hacks that I'm going to share, and you implement some of them. Maybe some of them work for your environment, maybe some of them don't. But if you do some of these either personally or professionally, it's going to make a world of difference. I guarantee you one thing, and I've shared this list with many different people throughout my career, is you're going to save more time, you're going to be happier, which is important, and ultimately do more of the things that you want and ultimately you're best at. So to give everyone time back in their day, here are 20 essential productivity hacks to set you up for success. Armed with these, I guarantee you, you're going to have time to focus on value-added tasks and achieve more. And make sure as you go through it, note anything that really stands out to you. And if it does, put it into the chat. We want to hear about it. If you're doing some of them already, put them into the chat. We want to see what they're like. Maybe someone has something that they see and that you're doing it, and they want to learn more of how to make that work for you. So the first one is follow the 2-minute rule. And this is, if it takes less than 2 minutes to do, just do it. There's no point in having tasks left around that can be done quite easily. The next one is about using short deadlines to maintain focus. If you give yourself too much time, you're going to procrastinate. Set short deadlines for yourself, maybe for your team if you have one. Doing so is going to ensure that you complete what's only needed and nothing more. Just be mindful to make sure that the deadlines that you set are realistic. I know that from personal experience. Also, invest in a second monitor. You're going to need screen real estate, and that's going to help improve your productivity as you're working with certain forms of technology. Prioritize your most important tasks first. Focus on no more than 2 to 3 significant tasks that you want to achieve. Other distractions are going to pop up, but if you try to tackle too much at once, there's a good chance you won't be successful. Don't have a to-do list of 8 items. Have just 2 or 3. Minimize those distractions, those beeps, those notifications. Every beep, distraction, or disruption doesn't require your immediate attention. Turn off notifications on your phone. Keep the volume low. Make sure that there's nothing that's going to distract you. There's no phone or application that's going to be buzzing around in the background. Shut off Facebook and other social apps until you've really clocked out for the day. Whenever possible, you want to also batch similar tasks together. Multitasking isn't very productive. In fact, switching between tasks slows you down. If you're going to record a lot of videos, have all your equipment already set up in advance so you can all shoot a bunch of videos together as opposed to set up, tear down, set up, tear down. Wherever possible, update your stop list. There are certain tasks that maybe you should just no longer do because they don't provide value. Audit your time to understand how you're spending it, and then make sure that those low-value activities ultimately stop. Big believer in this one is that you need to perform a digital reorganization as well. Delete what you don't need, file away stuff that's there. The more organized that you are, the easier it's going to be to try and find something on your computer when you need it next time. Email is a huge pain for a lot of people, so whenever possible, use email rules. They're going to help you with organizing your inbox, maybe directing particular emails to certain folders. You can also set up rules around the to and the CC folder to make sure that you see the email that's meant for you as opposed to some of these reply to alls where you don't need to see them. And whenever possible, set a goal of 0 inbox each week. Clean up your inbox, delete what you don't need, file others away. When you have the right rules and you strive for 0 inbox by the end of the week, I guarantee you're going to feel more productive. You're actually going to be a better person in terms of your business and what you're able to do as well. You can also template some of your responses in email as well. If you're doing the same thing over and over again or typing out the same message, if you template a canned response, it's going to save you significant time, especially as you're going back and forth with maybe customers or certain people. Wherever possible, it's also critical to block off your time. Align tasks that require certain concentration for you at times when it makes the most sense. Protect it. Use it wisely. Maximize your time. If you don't feel energetic at certain times of the day, or maybe you're more of a night owl, adjust your schedule so that you finish those tasks at the times that make the most sense for you. I said earlier that you can either spend your time or invest it. So if you're going to do it, schedule personal development time for yourself. Invest in yourself and in your personal and professional development. Schedule time each month for yourself, whether it's 1 hour, book it. To listen to a podcast, watch a video, whatever is required. But sometimes you need to step away from work. There's a lot of studies out there that says that you can increase your productivity and focus by just taking more breaks. A lot of people think you need to work longer hours, stay in the zone, hustle, grind. The truth is you don't need to. There's a technique called the Pomodoro technique in which workers really concentrate on work-related tasks for 25 minutes at a time, and they take a 5-minute break. Once the break is finished, they return back for another 25-minute session. Throughout the 8-hour day period that most people work, this obviously accounts for a little less than 6 hours of focused work, and it's a lot more of those 1-hour breaks and relaxation that helps in there. It gets your brain to rest, to decompress, and it gives you further stamina to continue to push forward, to work on those duties that you're working towards. Wherever possible, you could also tidy up your workspace. Things like a messy desk, loose papers, even like I said, the digital reorganization that needs to happen. Those are critical. Ensure that your area, wherever you work, is free of clutter. If possible, try to clean up your workspace before you even start your day, so you don't have to take time away from your work to go and find something and do something. Then you actually make sure that you start out your day on the right foot. One of the things with COVID as well that happened over these last couple of years is people are starting to get outside a lot more. When you're trapped inside, it makes it a lot harder on yourself. There's some health effects if you're stuck in a dark room, so get some sunlight. If you have time, throughout your breaks or lunch, get outside, get some of that vitamin D. It's going to help boost your energy and your creativity so you're able to return to work and be more effective. I'm also a big believer in making sure you have the right playlist. Listen to some music, relax, get entertained, maybe not distracted, but also find the right playlist that's going to work for you. That you can work to some music is going to make you feel more productive sometimes, and it might also help you just really focus and cut out some of those distractions. I can get a lot done when I just throw on my headphones and work to some music. As I said, if you want to achieve more, you sometimes need to work less, so why don't you reduce your hours? Again, talked about energy levels. While you think that maybe you got to work more hours Monday to Friday, maybe on the weekend to get more work done, it actually has proven that it's actually less effective. If you are going to work more and more hours, you actually have more of a risk of burning out. So consider decreasing your hours or taking more frequent breaks. If you're intentional with your time, you can achieve more in less time. In fact, that 80-20 rule tells us that 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. In my head, that means one real good day is going to be the equivalent of 4 other days. So you can work effectively in just one day and make your whole week matter. Another productivity hack for you is to make sure you reward yourself. When you achieve certain milestones, have a productive day, take the time, reward yourself. Even micro rewards can help you improve your productivity. Give yourself something to look forward to at the end of the week, and you're ultimately going to be more effective with your time. This is one that I had to learn the hard way, but it's about reducing your perfectionism. Some people will see perfectionism as a plus. Obviously, it leads to a certain amount of results, but it also leads to you focusing on insignificant details. It's better for you if you let go of being a perfect person all the time and realize that sometimes you just need to accomplish certain tasks promptly. And if there's minor issues, there's minor issues. Having a productive day is not about just doing a good job. It's about sometimes making sure that you're not focused on overdoing it and doing work that doesn't need to be done, that makes work a lot harder than it should be. Now, of these productivity hacks that we've talked about, which ones are you going to implement? Continue to put those into the chat box. We'd love to hear which ones resonate with you, which ones don't. But ultimately, there's a lot of different ways. And if there's other ways that people have thought of, go ahead and put those into the chat box as well. Talk about the importance now of performing a time audit. Whenever possible, you want to audit your time to see how you're actually spending it. So take a week and document how you spend your time. Break that day into 15-minute increments and create a log of ultimately what was completed. In your workbook, you're going to actually see that we've got a template here for you to follow. But make it easy on yourself and code everything into the following categories. Take a look at your 15-minute increments and say, hey, what's a meeting? What's a task? What's an email? What's considered an interruption? And ultimately, what's a waste? What's a waste of your time, your effort? At the end of the week, I'd like you to add up all those categories and see where your time was spent. You might be shocked by the results. I know I have been shocked when I've done these over the time. The first time I did this in my career, I realized I was interrupted way too much. I needed to set better boundaries for myself. Other times I've done it, I found that I was maybe in too many meetings that were a bit, honestly useless. So it forced me to cut back on those meetings, but also the length of them, because some of them didn't need to be as long as they were. But ultimately what I'm saying here is you got to do something with the insights that are gained through a time audit. Work to improve managing your time is about really moving forward and wanting to be more effective. So if meetings are the problem, say no to certain meetings. Because I can guarantee you, not all meetings are effective. Are you needed at each meeting? Probably not. Should there even been a meeting? Probably not. Your time is so valuable, just like money. So spend it wisely. Sometimes you just need to say no. Be strategic, ultimately, with your schedule. Spend your time on what matters, the priorities. Don't get bogged down by useless stuff that's not worthy of your time. If it can be delegated, move it along to someone else. Only focus, again, on the urgent and the important. Now, you want to respect the person, but sometimes you don't have to respect the interruption. People are going to interrupt you. They may ask for help. They may want to just socialize. Don't be rude. Let them know that you're working on something important and urgent, and ask that they park what they have right now until a better time presents itself. Then when the time is right, show them the respect, ultimately, that they deserve and your full attention if the interruption in question is really worth it to you. Now, unfortunately, we only have so much time available. Traditionally, most people work a minimum of 40 hours per week, so every moment counts. But to be most effective in prioritizing, it's honestly just vital that you're going to focus on some of these ways to improve your productivity. Technically, I think you can work less hours per week. I'm a big believer in this. Smarter, not harder, always. I firmly believe that if you leverage these tactics shared, you can actually get yourself down to 25 hours a week or less. How do I know this? Well, I've actually implemented this in different businesses that I've ran before. But it's ultimately about trying to make yourself more effective to make the impact that you want. Know this. Actually, write this down. Invest your time wisely. How do you want to invest or spend your time is going to determine who you are. Are you spending it or are you investing it? Are you busy or are you productive? You don't have to do everything. Prioritize what is urgent, what is important. I've seen far too many people complain that they are busy, but they're running around doing tasks that don't provide value. I would argue that sometimes there's work that doesn't even need to happen that they're doing. You need to be intentional. Find 30 minutes each day to work on your goals. Time is that great equalizer that I've talked about. We all have 24 hours in the day, and I guarantee you that you'll be ahead of most people if you just spend 30 minutes a day working on your goals and planning ahead. Again, as I said, the average person only has 2 hours and 53 minutes of productive work each day. In an 8-hour traditional workday, that's not a ton of value that's provided overall. I'm not saying you need to work longer hours. Again, I'm the opposite of that. What I'm suggesting, though, is how can you maximize that 2 hours to get even more from it? What's the most effective use of your time right now? Whatever it is, prioritize that. Get it done before you do anything else. When I'm mentoring members of council or coaching my own team, I've often heard people say that they want to be better with their time management. It's one thing to say, but it's another thing actually to do it, to ultimately, as we've said, take action. Our relationship with time is incredibly powerful, and it's so essential. How we manage our time can make a world of difference in how much we can ultimately achieve. So in summary, here are 10 ways to really increase your time management skills that I think are really important. So kind of linked to the time audit piece, number 1 is monitor how you use your time. Sit down and calculate how much your time is actually worth. You can also create a daily schedule for yourself. And you got to prioritize ruthlessly. And whenever possible, learn to say no. It's a hard one for some people. Number 6 is remove distractions and those time sucks. Number 6, bundle like tasks together. 7, avoid those interruptions, those things that really pull you away from the value-added work. Number 8, work when, how, and where you work best. And number 9, get organized. Because that ultimately leads to number 10, where you got to commit to taking action. So in the chat, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to become more productive in 2022? We'd love to hear and see what those are and continue to celebrate that. Moving on, we're going to focus now on motivation. We're really in the home stretch here this afternoon. We're almost near the end. So in this section, it's about that motivation, that mindset piece. What we've covered here so far is about those building blocks to help you achieve more of the results and the impact that you want. There's going to be some time and effort you're going to have to put in initially to obviously discover your why, set goals the right way, become more productive. But it's all designed about you getting ready to take action. You got to put yourself in that top state to really succeed nowadays. You have to ultimately believe that you can be successful and that you're going to win. Are you going to do it? Are you going to win? Put that into the chat. As I said, you want to be successful. So if you want to be successful, put into the chat box, yes, I am going to win in 2022. Sometimes you need to kickstart your motivation. Sometimes you might not have the energy needed to accomplish something, so you got to build that up in yourself. So start with these 4 ways to really supercharge your motivation in 2022. Number 1, get angry. Number 2, challenge the status quo. 3, appreciate the value of time. And 4, fear your fears coming true. I give you this list because I think it's really helpful. If you want to make an impact and you want to achieve the results that you're looking for, you need to shake things up. Do things differently. Challenge old processes, old tools, old ways of thinking. Because what got you here today is not going to get you to where you want to be in 2022. You need to try new approaches, new ways of tackling what's ahead of you. Throughout my career, I've gone all in challenging the status quo. I'm a firm believer that you need to pilot new approaches. In fact, I get quoted often as saying that I'll believe that everything is a pilot. You gotta try something. If it works, great. If it doesn't, try something else. Just constantly be tweaking and modifying your approach, seeing what works, what doesn't, a different way to just try and get results. I said earlier about appreciating the value of time. And I've said repeatedly throughout today, time is the most precious resource that we have. Because once it's gone, you never get it back. Use that time you have effectively. With only so much time available, you need to make great use of it. Use downtime whenever possible to better yourself. If you're waiting for someone or something, maybe you can listen to a podcast, read an article, maybe prep for an upcoming meeting, jot down some thoughts, record a video for social media. Ultimately, I'm just suggesting that you should maximize your time as much as you possibly can. Take advantage of it. You can either spend it or invest it, remember. Why not invest it doing things the right way? They're going to help you achieve the results and the impact you ultimately want. I also said that fear your fears coming true. Regret, I think, is one of the most powerful motivators out there. What would you regret not doing? What do you fear missing out on in the year ahead? I'm going to steal a line from one of the Rocky movies. If you know what you want, then go out and get what you want. Back in 2018, when I wrote down my goals on my wall, I asked myself that question: what would I regret not doing? That answer helped propel me in so many different ways. And I was able to move forward at such an accelerated rate because I tried so many different things and I gained so much valuable experience. Let's talk mindset for a little bit here as well, because your mindset ultimately is everything. You have to believe in yourself and have confidence in yourself that you're going to win. People who know me know I love sports. I love hockey in particular. As a hockey fan, you can tell when a team is scared or when they're about to be scored on. The same goes for a confident team. You know when a team is about to score. The reason you know is because of the momentum we talked about earlier. Remember, that momentum is created by fully leveraging your potential. So you have to make sure that you're taking action. You're focused on trying to achieve results. And ultimately, becoming more confident is critical to helping you make that impact that you're looking to do. It's about that rinse, wash, and repeat. The more you stay in the zone of going all in with whatever you do and maximizing your impact, then you create more momentum. But then the results are going to come. And you will pretty much not be able to recognize yourself. I don't recognize myself from 3 years ago. We at CashFlow Tribe want you to succeed. We want you to achieve success in 2022, whatever your definition of success is. So with that in mind, I do want to say here are 6 ways that you can achieve more success in the year ahead. Define your goal. Stop limiting your beliefs. Sometimes just stop complaining. Keep moving. Remember, it's progress over perfection. And you got to work in your strength zone. You have the power to be successful. It's a choice to leverage your potential and take action. You are capable of so much more than you think. Don't let anyone put a lid on what you can accomplish. Who's with me in saying no more? No one is going to hold you back from the results and the impact you want to make. 2022 is going to be your year. Now, I said earlier that I wanted to be transparent. Our goal was to teach, share, and give back, and ultimately set you up with some of the tools to prime yourself to create momentum and make 2022 your year. I said I also wanted to earn your business as well. So we got one more section to get to in a few minutes, but I would be remiss if I didn't stop for a second here. If you have received value from today's session so far, then I would love for you to come join us at CashFlow Tribe. Our mission is to help people achieve financial freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. We currently do this through real estate education, courses, and a real supportive community. We're expanding what we offer and evolving where we go to help more people achieve the results and the impact that they ultimately want. Today, we're excited to share that if you are not part of CashFlow Tribe yet, we're offering a 14-day free trial of CashFlow Tribe's premium membership. If you join, you will gain access to courses, live weekly training, and more. Our team is going to drop the link in the chat for those who are not yet part of CashFlow Tribe in terms of our premium membership, so they can take advantage of this trial. We've been really stepping up our game in terms of the quality of our live weekly training sessions, and we have some really powerful courses in development as well that we're looking forward to sharing soon. So all I ask is you come join us if you're looking to find that path to financial freedom. Now, there's some of you who are watching this who genuinely want to elevate to the next level and speed up your results faster. You want to build a business? Well, we've got a couple options for you. Number one is our Accelerator Program. This program is designed to help you take it to the next level and make drastic changes in your life. You're going to gain expert mentorship, a strong community, group training to determine your roadmap, to help you ultimately get the results and the deals that you want. Now, the results of those who have been part of the Accelerator group are absolutely game-changing too. This is a 6-week program that will inspire you and really blow your mind, showing you what's possible with real estate. We're going to drop a link to that in the chat for those who want to learn more and connect with our team for a strategy call to determine if this is ultimately for you, because it might not be for everyone. Now, those who book a call and take advantage of joining this program coming from this event today will save $1,000 off registration. We have never offered a discount to join Accelerator like this before. We believe that in this program so much that we wanted to reward those who stuck with us today and came here to the end and who are truly ready to commit to taking action and making an impact in 2022. Now, for other people who want to build a business, maybe you're further ahead of the game. Counsel, which I've mentioned a few times throughout the afternoon, is maybe what's for you. It's for those people who want to build and scale a business. It starts as a 6-month program. In addition to the discount of $1,000 we're offering, we're actually going to give you an extra month in the program for free. So that's 7 months for the price of 6 months if you join coming from this event. So what do you get in counsel, you might be asking? Well, in counsel, you're going to get mentorship from those who have been successful, championship level kind of quality real estate investors, entrepreneurs, weekly training, coaching, on-demand video library of resources, an incredible supportive and powerful network of members who often, honestly, partner together for opportunities and more. Some of our council members have actually recently told us that they have made $100,000 to $300,000 or more in revenue in their first 6 months since joining the program. Those are absolutely amazing results. Again, our mission at CashFlow Tribe is to help as many people as possible escape the 9-to-5 grind, gain that freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. With those kind of return on investments, this could be the best investment you can make in your future. Of course, you got to put in the work. But there is a way to succeed and create momentum. I hope you join us either with CashFlow Tribe as a premium member or Accelerator or Council. Again, the team is dropping the links in the chat for those who are interested in really taking it to the next level. We're going to round out the day with one last section here. Earlier I said if you want something, you got to ask for it because no one can read your mind. You need to put your ideas out there into the universe and see what comes back. What do you want to happen in 2022 for yourself? If you've completed your goals and you've discovered your why, we would love for you to share them. On CashFlow Tribe or in our Facebook group, we would love for you to share your why, any SMART goals you have, or even some of those BHAG goals that are out there. Our team will share the links in the chat if you're not already with us, so you can join the Facebook group and be part of us as well. But we want you to share your goals and share your why. Why do we want you to share it? Well, in our experience, sharing your goals and your why with others helps keep you accountable. When you're accountable, you're statistically more likely to achieve your goals and ultimately the results that you want. And if you haven't picked up by now, we're all about results here at CashFlow Tribe. We want to help you achieve those results. We know that you can have an impact on your future and in your community. Plus, those who are brave enough to share their goals via video will see an influx of like-minded people who want to connect with you and support you as part of your journey. It can be uncomfortable being on video. Who knows, though? Maybe someone who sees your video will partner with you, help get you started, and strengthen what you want to do in 2022. Those who share their goals will also get shout-outs from our team to further strengthen your story and help you out. So in conclusion, many people have been stressed over these last couple of years. There have been challenges. I think it's an understatement. Many people have felt like they've been asked to do more with less. Some of you have such a great work ethic that it also has led to burnout for some of you as well. I want to reiterate a commitment I made earlier, that sometimes good enough is actually good enough. That perfectionism isn't always required. When we care so much about a project or initiative, it's not uncommon for us to spend a lot of time overdoing it. Sometimes we go above and beyond, adding details that are unnecessary. You need to know the audience and their expectations with whatever you do. Sometimes getting something 80% complete is all that's needed, instead of the effort to make it 100% perfect. Getting to 80% complete often means that you can move on to the next thing faster too. There's no point in stressing yourself out or others with minor details that people wouldn't really be bothered with. Decide from the onset how much attention something deserves in terms of those goals and those tactics that you're working on, and respond accordingly. Choose how much you care. Find the balance between delivering expectations while not burning yourself and others out. It's okay to not be perfect. If you try to do so, you're going to create such high expectations of yourself and for those who might work with you that you might be frustrated. You might be upset and stressed. You have to align on expectations and ultimately make sure that you're focused on providing an environment where there's less stress overall. Remember this, though. You need to put yourself first. What? Yes, put yourself first. Whether you're building a business, leading a team, you're head of the household, you're a leader. You need to put yourself first. That might be a controversial statement, sure. Is it wrong? I don't think so. If you don't take care of yourself first, putting your needs at the forefront, you won't be effective. You won't achieve the results and the impact you want. If you don't focus on your own mental, physical, and emotional well-being, you will do more harm than good. There are multiple ways that you can prioritize yourself too. It's about personal and professional development that matter. There's always lots to learn with plenty of resources out there to help you get better. You could be signing up for a daily dose of advice from popular publications. You could be reading books, blog posts, watching courses. There are many ways to become better. Just being surrounded by a community like CashFlow Tribe can help make you better. Take those breaks as well, because you can't go at it hard without eventually breaking down. Remember to eat and drink water and fuel your body and your mind. But don't live your life on autopilot. Again, you need to create momentum. That requires leveraging your potential and ultimately taking action. You need a plan. So instead of being stuck firefighting and reacting to everything that's going on around you, make your life easier by becoming more proactive. Take the reins a little bit more. That's what this event is about, getting proactive and thinking about what you do for next year. Disconnect more often. The world's opening up. Go on vacation. Shut off those notifications. Everything will be fine. Just trust and empower others more. Life is way too short to spend it doing anything other than what you love. So what do you want to do in the next 5 years, 10, 20? If it's not what you're doing right now, you got the power to do something about it. You don't know honestly what you can accomplish until you try. Don't be afraid to roll the dice and try your luck doing something that most people would be scared to do. You never know what might happen when you bet on yourself and you go all in. So with that in mind, I would like to leave you with a few more rules to remember if you're really going to make an impact in 2022 and really make it your best year yet. 1, let go of the past. 2, don't care about what others think of you. 3, you're in charge of your own happiness. 4, don't live your life for others. Remember, we all take a different journey. 5, you don't need to know all the answers. 5, smile and laugh. Number 7, go all in. These rules will help you become more successful, you'll create momentum, and you'll ultimately achieve the results and the impact you want. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Armed with what we've shared today, I know you can make 2022 your year and achieve the results and the impact you want. You can do so by being intentional, working smarter, not harder. Bet on yourself and go all in on you. All right, everyone, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. We're good? Awesome. So excited that we were able to spend this time, those last couple hours together. We had to switch it up just so we can get into a different room here so I actually, see you guys and talk to you with the elaborate setup that we actually had set up for today. So we'll stop sharing the screen. We'll just kind of focus on and feature on for myself. What we're going to do is going to take any kind of questions that you have. Some people have been sending questions through some of the members of CashFlow Tribe here. What I do ask, and so Kenson, as an example, you put his camera on right now. So if you want to put your cameras on so I can see you, so I know that you're here, that would be really cool as well. I'm just going to switch my view so I can actually see everybody. But if you've got questions, put them in the chat. I'm going to answer them. I've also got some DMs that we had from different people as well. I'll start with the first one that I see here. And it said, how do you keep your organization committed to your vision and your mission? There was one question that someone had, probably related to some of the leadership piece that we ultimately talk about. I think it's critical as a leader is that you focus on your core values a lot of the times, especially as a business owner. And so within our company here at CashFlow Tribe, we talk about our core values a lot. Our core values are community, results, impact, and transparency. We continually talk about them. We remind them with the team. We really live and breathe these core values, and that's critical to what we do. We talk about our mission as well, and we ultimately talk about that roadmap as from a personal perspective. We focus on that, and we're open about what's coming next. We do so transparently, again, that's our core value, but we ultimately are focused on that because we want to make sure that we're so open about what we do, where we go, and that helps keep them focused on what they're ultimately trying to achieve. But sometimes people are going to decide that maybe that mission is not ultimately for them. So that's critical, and that's important that, again, we are just open about what's kind of going on. I see here Gregorian, I'm going to make sure I get the name right, saying, hey, how do I find a mentor in my area that I can meet in person? Well, if you're part of CashFlow Tribe already, there's an opportunity to kind of, post and ask like who's in certain areas. A lot of people get together, they'll meet up, they'll connect one-on-one. In the world that we're living in though today as well, you can obviously just meet up with people virtually. Just, flip on your camera, have some Zoom meetings and connect. But there's regional meetups that, people will sometimes have, or as we do some of these, like this one it was a digital event. The last event we did was hybrid. Taking advantage of leveraging when you can have those moments where you can attend events and be in person together, that's critical as you're moving forward. But yeah, with a lot of mentors, it's putting yourself out there. We've got a Facebook group of 6,000-7,000 people in our Facebook group right now. There's an opportunity to, again, post and say, hey, I'm in this region and I'm looking for help in this following areas. There are people who are going to put up their hand. That's the power of a community. When you leverage a community, that's where you're able to find some of those mentors. But again, put yourself out there. That's critical and important. If you got other questions, keep listing them in the chat here. I guess some other DMs ones that I know that we got was, what is something you wish you had told yourself in your career earlier? Good question. Throughout my career, I've gone through different, phases and steps throughout my career. I think the one thing that I probably could have, maybe told myself earlier was, you know what? You don't need to know all the answers. I think sometimes I've been guilty of thinking that I need to know everything, and therefore you start to feel like you do everything. And when you do everything, that can also lead you to B, maybe sometimes burnt out, but it also can kind of hold your team back or others back if you start to do all the work and not let other people kind of take advantage of that. And so I think that just being comfortable with saying, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out together is pretty powerful overall. So again, that's critical and that's important. What other kind of questions have? And so anybody wants to not type them out and they want to just go on camera and ask something, I'm also cool with that. We'll make it all work. So kind of like raise your virtual hand, and the team will kind of let me know who's got a question, who wants to say kind of what there. All right, let's see. Let's take a look here. See what else we've got. Another question in the DM. How do you promote a positive work environment? Okay. Best way to do that, I think, is to celebrate accomplishments wherever possible. So if you've got a team you're working with, obviously you want to celebrate the wins, big and small. But if you don't have a team, you can still celebrate. Like, those small wins are critical. Reward yourself. When you have a team, though, create a safe place for them. Right? So like, I talk about being transparent. That's important. But like, that safe place, like I'm a big believer in, like, treat every one-on-one in every environment you have as like Vegas. What happens there stays there. So if you create an environment where people actually feel like they can open up, they can talk to you about anything, that's pretty powerful. When I mentor people in counsel, like, I always say the same thing, like, what happens here stays here. You can talk to me about anything. Like, if you want to, complain about something that's going on in your world, personally, professionally, financially, we can talk through that. That's going to be pretty critical, and that's going to help. All right. We've got, Gregorian, I see just popped up here. Were you always so well spoken? It sounds like you have the gift of the gab. How do you talk with such confidence? Well, my mom's on here. She's up there on my side. She's near the top. She will probably say that I just came out just talking nonstop. That's one thing. That's just I just never shut up. I am constantly talking. But like, I think the way you talk with confidence is that, like, you just keep doing it. You just put yourself out there. And you know what you know, and if you go all in on your strengths, the things that you do better than anybody else, or like what you're really passionate about, I think it's pretty powerful overall. So like, I talk about what I know. I try not to dive into stuff that I don't know. I think that's also critical, and that's important too. Charles, I see a virtual hand up. What's your question? You want to unmute yourself, and I'll try and unmute myself here. I'll mute myself so there's no feedback.
My question is, I hear people say you don't need to incorporate in order to do real estate, but I also hear to be compliant with CRA, you need to have a separate bank account in order to do real estate business without troubles. So do I have to start open a sole proprietorship account, or just use my personal bank account to get started with real estate?
All right, so Charles, great question. A lot of people kind of talk about this, and I think everyone's got a different approach of how they've tackled it. Do you already have properties that you're already investing in, Charles, or are you just looking to get started?
Yeah, I have one already, and it's in my personal name, in my personal bank account.
Okay, sorry, you kind of cut out on my end there. Said you already have one?
Yes.
Okay. So you can, like, there's multiple ways that you can kind of look at it. Like, there's some people who are they're setting up their own corporation, and some people are doing it differently as well. Like, some people don't have it as their own corporation; they're doing it with their own personal bank account. It's a question of, like, obviously taking advantage of certain tax protections and stuff for yourself as well. But it really varies depending on your approach. Are you looking to add in a lot more properties to your portfolio overall?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then there might be value, and obviously then you want to look at creating your own corporation associated with it and having it all completely separate, because you're actually be running a business, as opposed to also just to protect yourself.
So should it be a sole proprietorship from the beginning, or should it be in a corporation?
So there are people who are doing both, but you could do it as a corporation. It's pretty straightforward there, or you can do it as a sole proprietorship. There are also people who are doing a variety of different ways. Like, I think the value of the power of the community is to see who's got a similar story to what you're trying to do, and see how's it working for them. Like there's pros and cons for both. So like leverage the power of the community to like, I continue to ask those questions and see what people are doing. I guarantee you the people on this call who either way that they're tackling it.
Okay, thank you.
What other kind of questions that people might have regards to this or other things that are happening? Thanks, Mom, for putting that comment in there as well. That I've been speaking at conferences since I was 7 years old. Appreciate the shout out. I guess that helps from the confident speaking perspective. What kind of coaching calls do you do? Real estate, short-term rentals, or personal development? Where can we find the link? So within Council, again, this is our business building program that we have within CashFlow Tribe. So I'm one of the mentors. We've got a number of other mentors who are kind of more in the real estate space. I speak more on the leadership, personal development, time management side more than anything else. Like that's more of my background. Like I've been in like a leadership capacity for the last, well, I guess it's 20 years now. And so I was telling my team earlier today, just the journey and stuff that I've kind of really gone through in my career. So like I've always been in that space. But then in 2018, when I went through and I started figuring out some of the goals that I had and I was frustrated in my corporate career, I decided I wanted to create a speaking business because I love to speak. And I was like, what do I want to speak about? Well, I'm passionate about leadership. And so it's really a lot of stuff in like how to lead a business, how to motivate a team. I've led teams that have won some industry awards. I've personally been recognized in some different spaces as well, like customer experience, employee experience. So I talk a lot about that. But in order for those mentorship calls, it's part of the council piece that I'd be part of. So I'll have people come in and they'll like, I had a great call actually a few days back. Council members like, I'm just struggling from a time management perspective. What can I do to give myself more time? So we were able to dive into a lot of strategies on that. So the link, the team can drop the link there. Again, if you're interested in maybe talking through and seeing if council might be a fit for you, that's where you can kind of connect with me for that. But I'm always happy to help and talk in any sort of way whatsoever. So you can send me an email. I'll throw it out here for everybody. Chris@cashflowtribe.com. You can connect with me through social media as well. Chris Hannah Show. That's just the name of my podcast. So people reach out to me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of fun stuff as well. Always happy to help in any way because I think I've had a lot of opportunities over the last 20 years, and I've realized like you have to give back. So I'm always happy to help. But to get really that like in depth, like let's zero in on your business, it's through the council mentorship program that we have. All right, what other kind of questions do we have? Any? If there's any, again, if you have something, you can raise your virtual hand. We can kind of bring you on here. I know we've got a couple more DMs. So let's see, it's another one. What are the leadership qualities you're continuing to work on? Okay, well, for some of you might know, like, so I recently, this past summer took on the role of CEO of CashFlow Tribe. Stepping into being a CEO it's a challenge. Like it's not all like easy, like you see kind of, sometimes, right? So I think that the hardest thing or the thing I'm trying to really focus on in terms of leadership is the balance between working on the business versus in the business. It's like we don't have many people have their cameras on, but those who have cameras on, who's like actually got a business right now that they're running? Anyone? Maybe some people. So like, I think the thing that to ask yourself is like, when you strategic versus tactical. And I think that's the piece as I go into this transition of now being a CEO is like, okay, I got to get out of some of this tactical stuff that I used to do all the time. Some of the stuff like I enjoy doing, right? But like, it's better for me to delegate that to somebody else. Like it's about, sharing the vision and really identifying like who can take the ball and who can run with it and then execute it and finding that way to delegate. So when you're running a business, it's about, again, balancing all of that in terms of that delegation and again, working on versus in is so critical and so important. Again, so yeah, as a business owner, right? Like it is hard because there's so much stuff that we need to, do in the course of the day. Like we're trying to figure out what's the game plan, what we're going to try and tackle. How do we run things tactically? If you've got employees, delegating to them, sometimes carrying the load, but like ultimately like you're leading. And I always say leaders lead from the front. But that balancing act is so critical and important. Gregorian, which books do you recommend for self-development or real estate investing? I think the best self-development book that I've ever read is The 4 Hour Workweek. If you haven't read it, by Tim Ferriss, and maybe we can like look up get the link and we can drop it from Amazon for people who haven't got it yet. It is one of the most powerful books I think out there. It's a little bit older now at this point, but it still actually resonates. Like if you listen to the audiobook version of it, and I actually try and listen to it every single year, because I pick up some new tip or trick. It really opened my mind to that. Like we don't have to work more. We don't have to work harder. If we just work really effectively, we can work a lot less. Like, and I said, that you get down to 25 hours a week as opposed to 40 hours a week. I did this with a team in a past business where we actually were figuring out, like, I paid everybody for 40, but they only worked 25 hours a week. And we had the best results, the best customer satisfaction, the best profitability. And everyone was super happy and engaged because we got really intentional with what we needed to kind of work on. So I think that is critical. Kurt said, one of his favorite books as well. It's just so powerful. And then if you follow Tim Ferriss on whether it's social media, listen to his podcast, some of the interviews and stuff that he's done, he's got another book. I think it's called like Tribe of Mentors or something like that. Again, he just has all these different pieces where he's actually sharing his wisdom, and it's incredibly powerful. But like I'm a huge believer in just personal and professional development. Like we have to continue to invest in ourselves to get better. That is so critical, and that is so important. That's where like I started collecting all these things over the course of my career, like things that like whether it's productivity tips or hacks or stuff on leadership. And I started doing it because I had this idea, like I wanted to make my own book, and I wanted to write a book and share and give back. And then I realized I'm like, it's easier, honestly, for me, based on the person I am, to like just talk it through. And so that's why like I put a lot of stuff in my podcast or videos or courses or whatever content that's been created as well. Mark, how do you envision CFT 10 years from now? Wow, 10 years from now is wild to think about, because I think even the last 2 years or the last year has been kind of insane. But like when we really look about like where we are and where we go as a company within CFT, I think that there's an opportunity that we see even more types of content and more resources that we're really providing for the community to help them find financial freedom. Like, yes, for the last 2 years, we focused a lot on real estate, but there's other pieces that we can kind of pull in. What makes CashFlow Tribe different, I think, is a couple things. One is the fact that we focus on that community piece a lot. But two is that focus on like personal professional development, which is at the core, I think, of really what we truly do and how we leverage that. And technology 10 years from now is going to be completely different than what we have now. Like this just sounds really bad as I'm saying it. Maybe it'll come out clear, but like the last 2 years have been really tough for the world. Every time there's been like an economic downturn, that is when the coolest technology and the most game-changing stuff will happen. So it's hard to predict 10 years from now, well, that technology ride we're going to be on is going to be so powerful. And there's going to be such new stuff that's going to come out. I know we're working on some new stuff in the background as well that like we'll be able to release for 2022, but like it's being able to leverage new technology, because the real estate space is continuing to evolve as well. But like just achieving that level of financial freedom, even more stuff's going to happen in terms of the crypto world as well. With NFTs, there's more stuff happening there. The digitization of everything is going to be so wild. 10 years from now, it's crazy to think what's going to happen. I think a year from now, it's going to be so wild to see what's actually happening out there in business in general in many industries. All right. Kurt's asking, Kurt, can you want to provide an opinion you've got? Let me just mute myself so there's no feedback here. Oh, world domination. Okay, interesting. That's fascinating. Thanks, Kurt. Any other kind of questions that some of you have on anything? I see another DM. What does work-life balance mean for you? Well, as I said, I think you got to work less. And I think one of the things about work-life balance is that you got to focus on your priorities, the stuff that's absolutely critical. Far too often, I think we spend our time doing things that are actually a waste of time, stuff that maybe distract us from our goals overall. And I heard this term a while ago, but like I actually refer to the term work-life integration, and I think it's really relevant, especially with what we've gone through over the last couple of years. It's about finding that harmony between work and life, and like what we have to ultimately do, if I answer the question, I guess directly, is like we got to figure out a way that like people aim to work when, where, and how they're most effective, because there's certain things that, like, if you find that, like, that gives you that work-life, flexibility that you're ultimately looking for. Mark, does it mean you will diversify from real estate to Bitcoin and stocks? Well, that's one area, but there's others that we'll also continue to look at as we continue to provide in more value. I just won't reveal it all yet. But I think that, like, we're looking at different ways that can help people find that financial freedom with different content tools, resources, coaches, experts. We're having a lot more people we're trying to bring in. So I guess spoiler alert, stay tuned for some of that. Kylie Steven, how did you transition from corporate career to building your business? Well, so when I was in the corporate world, I was also trying to build, like, my own business and side hustle at the same time. So there's a bit of that, like, entrepreneur kind of in me. My mom could probably, like, raise her hand and attest to this. Like, I was the kid who loved playing Monopoly all the time, thinking of that from, like, just like a business perspective. But I was also the kid who was like, I'm gonna go and flip hockey cards at lunch. I'm gonna go play Pogs. If anybody remembers Pogs back in the day, I'm sitting there going and trying to, like, win a bunch in first recess, selling them in second recess. In high school, I sold, I'm gonna age myself up here, cassette tapes to help people, get better. My mom's shaking her head. She's now embarrassed by the story because she got talked to by parents. But, like, I used to sell cassette tapes to other students of, like, me reading the textbook and saying, if you played this at night, it'll subliminally put the knowledge in your head so you don't actually have to study. So I've always been that entrepreneurial kind of person. Kinson's laughing at me here like, what the hell is this guy doing? But I would sell that. And the thing is, I just recorded over an old cassette tape with Billy Idol. And so at the end, when people will listen to the 45-minute tapes, Billy Idol comes on at the end. So, like, it was so, like, ingrained in me to build something. And then when I went from the corporate world to eventually coming to CashFlow Tribe, which you can consider a startup because it's such a newer company, it's such a transition. Corporate world is so bureaucratic, I guess is one way to put it, right? Whereas in a startup, things move at an accelerated pace. Like, it is so fast, right? And I think that, like, that's the big difference. And sometimes you start something and stop something a little bit in this world. I can see my team behind the camera here, like, they're shaking their heads, and someone's laughing, because that is true. Like, it is so different in terms of corporate life and in the world of a kind of a newer company as well. Mark, would you expand the real estate from Ontario to other provinces or even in the US? Mark, do you mean in terms of, like, what CashFlow Tribe offers? Is that what you mean? I'm assuming so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, there's an opportunity to, like, we have a lot within Ontario, like, to be honest with you, right? Like, there's a lot there. We do need to do a better job of getting more across, like, East and West Coast as well. And then we do have people who, there's experts out there that we could pull in from a US side. We haven't been able to we haven't done that yet, but we do need to go wider overall in terms of some of that content. All right. Any other questions that people have? No, Mark, no problem. Absolutely, ask anything. I love AMAs. Ask me anything questions. It could be whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. I see another one on the monitor I have here. So, out of all the productivity hacks you shared, cleaning up my inbox seems to be the most overwhelming. Okay, I've heard that before. What's the best way for me to get started? Yeah, a lot of people do struggle with that. Like, I don't know how many of you have, like, hundreds or thousands of emails in your inbox. Okay, Mom, thanks for putting your hand up. Appreciate that. This is probably a terrible answer. I'm going to use Nike. Just do it. Like, if you want to sit down and get your inbox under control, just do it. Like, I had one of our employees actually, like, I was shared this, last week. And he sent me a message actually yesterday, and he said, I just want to let you know I finally got down to 0 emails in my inbox. And it was such a cool moment, because he's like, I have so many, I just feel like I'm just not focused. I'm kind of like, I'm slow to respond to other things. I feel like a little bit disorganized. Like, I just feel so much better. In my past, when I was sharing this with whether it's with clients, when I was coaching, or when I was doing in the corporate world, it's amazing when I challenge people to say, like, hey, let's try and find a way to just get organized. I'm like, you just got to sit down and do it. You just spend a couple hours now to clean up your inbox, like delete
what you don't need, get rid of it, because that's just garbage that's just kind of clogging up your space. Put other stuff into folders as well, right? Like, so you touch it, read it once, great. If you need to do something with it, awesome, do something with it, especially if it takes less than 2 minutes. If it takes more than 2 minutes, I leave it there until I've actually actioned it. I use it almost as a to-do list. But then once I do, I put it into a folder. So like Michaela, who you saw at the beginning of this, I have a folder that says Michaela, and anything that she's sending me that I've done and taken care of, I put that into a folder so I know that's taken care of. So I have a ton of folders as part of my inbox, but it also helps. Do you mean 0 unread? No, Kylie. Just making sure that actually I have no emails at all left in my inbox by the time Friday rolls around. That's my goal. So like they'll be read, unread, and I'll get lots and lots of emails from a variety of sources, both personally and professionally, but I always strive to have 0. I actually feel like a little anxious sometimes if I have so many emails that are in my inbox, because it feels like I'm kind of out of control. So if you can have opportunity to have someone help you, clean that up, or you just take the time to do it, it's pretty powerful. All right, what do we got? Kinson, for the real estate investors that create businesses, flip houses, or wholesale deals, have you or your team seen anyone have a successful and lucrative exit? They sold their companies to a strategic buyer. We've got some council. Every council member has got such a unique journey. Some people are like at the beginning parts of their journey. Some people are kind of already further ahead. So it kind of really varies on the person. I think that what we probably need to do as a company, Kinson, to really truly like answer your question is actually even feature more stories from the council members themselves, so you can hear that directly. Like I said earlier, like some people, like they've told us in the first 6 months, like they made $100,000 to $300,000 in terms of just the profit. Some people then turn that into other businesses that they've created, so as like their active businesses they've got, sure, from a real estate side, but they're also building all these other ones as well. In terms of selling to a strategic buyer, I don't have anybody offhand that's coming to mind from that perspective to exit, but some people are thinking of that in mind, right? Like they've kind of like they're newer to the journey, and then they want to be able to do that within X period of time. Some people are working towards that. Some people just have a goal. Right. I know there's some people in council, like they just have a goal. This is how much revenue that they want to be able to bring in for whatever their personal, professional, financial reason is. But on a specific, the exit, nothing right now that I can share offhand. But there might be some people I know who are working towards that. Definitely. I know for a fact. Ben, I regularly clean my inbox. Unsubscribe those I don't need. One of those are from Indeed. I should have said that as a hack. Unsubscribe a lot. I bet you we all got a ton of emails last week with Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. There was so many of those emails that kind of came out. I got some of them and I was like, I didn't even know that they had my email still. Right? And like, I think that's something just to like delete that shit. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to swear this year, but I'm actually really bad at it still. But like, delete it. Like get rid of that stuff. Like I unsubscribe from so many damn things, because I'm just like, I don't need to see it anymore. When the pandemic first happened, I bet you we all got the same emails as well. Like every company saying, we're thinking of you, we're here with you, like all the same messages. Well, that also got me to purge a whole bunch of companies that I'm like, I don't need to have emails from anymore. So again, cut your emails, cut those distractions, cut the things that you don't need to see. That's going to make a world of difference for you and just ultimately save you time. All right. Any other final questions we've got? Oh, looks like we've got a few more DM ones. What are the benefits of the 14-day premium trial membership? Do we get access to courses? Okay, yeah. So with the 14-day premium trial that we talked about with CashFlow Tribe, yes, you're going to get access to everything that's available on the site. So yeah, you're going to get access to the existing courses that we have. We've got a lot of new courses that we're just trying to finalize and put in development as well that are going to be coming out. There's weekly training that happens. So Mondays and Thursday nights, we kind of theme them a little bit. We haven't really publicized this so much, but like I think I'll just share it here. Monday's really focused on motivation, and Thursday's more on tactical. So you bring in a little bit more experts who are talking more of the tactical side, like, hey, let's get into specific real estate strategies. So Keith, as an example from Blue Ocean Property Group, he was just on this past Thursday talking about short-term rentals. They did the last event that we did as well a few weeks back. So like we're bringing in experts, and we're featuring a lot of people from council because they've got some of that track record and that story that they've been able to kind of do. And then the Monday side's more on the motivation front. I know that the first Monday of January, as an example, so I'm coming in and I'm teaching the community and talking, again, how to achieve more with less, but even going deeper than what we did today in terms of productivity to save you more time to really kick off 2022 strong. But you're going to get access, again, to the full courses, obviously access to the community, those live training sessions as well, in addition to some other things that we're looking to build in too. Any other questions that we have? I know I just flew through those really fast. How can I ramp up on real estate investing and leveraging others' resources while am continuing what you're doing? Oh, so Vishnu, there is a lot of power in using other people's money. Like there are Catherine, I don't know if she's still on here, but like Catherine as an example, like she's lending money out. There's people doing creative financing to help. You don't have to put up all the money yourself to get started or to do more in real estate. It's leveraging other people, looking for some of that creativity that is going to be critical, and that is important because there's so many people who have been able to do it without putting up their own capital. It's pretty powerful when you can actually do that. I don't want to share all the stories from everybody in council, but like if you look at a guy like TJ Ainsborough as an example, when he came to us and really started with us, like he had to use other people's money to get into council, and as a result, now he's been able to create his own personal lending business. He used other people's money to create his own pawn shop that he's got. He's got so many flips on the go, so much activities that he's been really able to do. And he's completely transformed what he's been able to really do. In his first 6 months, he was one of those guys who was telling us like hundreds of thousands of dollars he was able to make. And the beauty of it is he used other people's money to really get that success and that track record that he's been able to do. And I know that we're going to be featuring in some upcoming stuff as well. And we've already had him in past events. But like, there's power in asking some of those people, like, how do they do it? What are they doing to be successful? Because again, you don't have to use your own money. A lot of people think like save up all your money, then go and do it. Gregorian, would you be comfortable sharing your story publicly in terms of trials and tribulations you have faced and the lessons you have learned? Yeah, I'm an open book. I've gone through a lot of ups and I've gone through a lot of downs over the course of, well, I'm 37, so I'll throw my age out there. So over the last 37 years, 20 years kind of in this space, but it's tough to like, to kind of sometimes like be on the journey and then see like, where's it going? You don't know. And then really you don't know until you look back, right? There's that quote that Steve Jobs had is like, sometimes you can't connect the dots until you look backwards. I was sharing this with my team earlier this morning as we're trying to set up and get ready for everything we did today, that like, it's tough. Like I might make my mom cry again. I already saw her cry earlier today. As I kind of mentioned her, and now she's put her head down. Sorry, Mom. But like, we had to go through a lot of struggles and we were younger. A lot of sacrifices and a lot of hard work kind of went in to kind of get us to where we needed to be. Trying to put myself through, school, being there as the older brother of three boys with a single mom. It was tough. And so being able to not only just see the inspiration that she had for us all as kids, but then just, see the power and how much she sacrificed, it makes you kind of appreciate so much more of what that journey is. And so I put myself through school, get into the car rental business of all things. I'm not a car guy, but I get into the car rental business, and it was about teaching me how to learn to run a business. And I thought I'm only going to be there for a few months. I was there for 4.5 years. I worked 11 different branches over 4.5 years, became branch manager of the year. World changes, boom. I started over, and I was in the IT space for 10 years. CashFlow Tribe, I wasn't looking to join another company when I started doing more full-time coaching and consulting myself. But I applied for the role because I saw that there was something special here, especially as I talked to Ben. If anyone's ever talked to Ben, Ben's a pretty special guy. He's got a lot of energy. But when I met with a lot of the employees with CashFlow Tribe, I I saw that there's something pretty amazing here, and especially this core value that we have is impact. When I started talking to different members and seeing the stories that they had and how they're like just the knowledge that they gained was able to help them achieve more, it was pretty powerful. And I knew that I wanted to be part of something like this, and so it's amazing how much it's kind of worked out. But I've learned along the way is that like the path isn't always clear. You don't know what's going to come up, but you just got to embrace whatever comes your way. And even if something's bad, it actually is still going to lead you to where you are today. There's a lot of stuff that's happened, but it's all about overcoming. There's this anyway, if you know Les Brown, he's a famous speaker, motivational speaker. He says people don't have bad days, they have character building days. I had a lot of character building days throughout my career that have helped me in a lot of different ways. I know that like we all have them. It's just what we choose to do with whatever happens on that day is ultimately going to tell us, what kind of path we should go on and how we react to it. But that's critical and important. So I don't know if I really answered the question there, but I'm always happy to talk through some of that stuff. And I am an open book. I'm super transparent about everything. Any other questions that anybody might have? If not, I just want to say I appreciate you all sticking here to the end. One of the things that's like a stat that's like an industry standard kind of stat is that, again, 20 to 30% of people will show up to a free event. I initially was going to have this as a paid event, but I was like, I just want to give back. That's what it really was all about. Like, how can we give back to the community and to people who just need to hear this message? The world these last couple of years have been really, really tough. And so is there a way that you can take control and be intentional? Absolutely. That's why I wanted to make it free. Just like be here, take in some advice. If even there's one piece of advice that resonated with at least one person out there, I've always said that's valuable, that's important. So people who stay to the end, the people who are on this call, you're amazing. This is what we do this for, or for you. Thank you for being here. If there's anything you need from myself, the community, anything we can do, do not hesitate to reach out. I just want to say I appreciate you all hanging out with me on a Saturday afternoon when I'm here in Windsor right now. It's beautiful here, but like being here with me, thank you. I really appreciate you. So thank you very much. Have a good rest of your Saturday. Again, thank you for everything.